Hi there and welcome to the TrainAid HQ. My name is Nick and I'm here today to talk to you about the Level 4 IQA qualification and what evidence is required for your Unit 2 portfolio. The Unit 2 IQA portfolio is demonstrating that you are a fully active and functioning IQA. There are 14 different criteria that you need to fulfill in order for you to gain your IQA certificate. Within this video, we're just going to be talking about each one in turn and providing you with some practical examples of how you can demonstrate that you are an active IQA. Criteria 1 is your personal profile. This is setting the scene as an IQA. You need to take stock of where you're at and think about perhaps your future IQA aspirations. Within the personal profile, we would like for you to describe your current role. You could be perhaps teaching, assessing. You could also write in key responsibilities such as who you monitor in terms of assessors. You could also include aspirations as well. We would also like for you to include an up-to-date CV and also any recent certificates such as any training or assessing certificates as well. The personal profile should be no more than 1 page and it can be typed out in a Word format. Please feel free to use the questions provided behind me. Criteria 2 of our portfolio is the profiles of the 2 assessors that you are going to be monitoring. You need to be focusing on 2 assessors, trainers, or even colleagues for your IQA portfolio and monitoring their practice and providing them with feedback. We would like to know their full name, where are they based, their role within your organisation. You can also include their strengths and any areas for development which you think is going to be important on improving their practice. Again, the personal profile should be no more than 1 page per assessor. Now, criteria 3 is our observation plan. You need to create an observation plan like this one, and as you can see, we have the names of the assessors or trainers that you are going to be monitoring and also details about the course or qualification that you are going to be overseeing. We would like for you to plot in dates and also locations of where you are going to be observing your trainer or assessor and seeing them within their assessing or teaching role. Okay, some of the key points we would like for you to include is the time, location and date. We'd also like for you to just perhaps specify where the observation is in terms of your course and how it reflects on your overall qualification. This is an example of the observation plan, but do feel free to create one on an Excel spreadsheet or even perhaps in Google documents as well. But this is what is required for Unit 3. The next section is a meeting plan. Any hallmark of an IQA is to show that you are plotting and planning meetings to discuss qualification updates with your team, okay, and providing them with the latest updates and any changes that can occur. This is an example of a meeting plan. As you can see, it's a very basic table with a couple of meeting dates there. This is all that we require to see is a couple of dates have been planned on your meeting plan. Okay. Again, you can use Excel spreadsheet or a Word document template to fulfill this meeting plan. Now, staying with the meeting plan, it's also important for IQAs to organise standardization activities. Standardization activities typically involve you discussing the actual course or qualification to look at, again, any updates, perhaps to take part within activities such as interpreting grading criteria. It could be to create a new policy or procedure. And in terms of this example, you can have a column for your standardization meetings. So here we have the general meetings, general team meetings or briefings. Here we have standardization, and this can happen perhaps once or twice a year, but it's very important that you do meet with a team of assessors or trainers in order to promote standardization. Now, criteria 6, we have a sample plan. The sample plan is demonstrating what is going to be sampled and from who. In terms of the actual document behind me, this is a very basic sample plan. We have the name of the assessor here, the name of the IQA. We also have the qualification title and what is going to be sampled from your learner. Okay. For this sample plan, it is looking at the marking of the assessor. Okay, and we have a range of learners and their assignments are going to be picked out at random. As we can see here, this is a diagonal approach and it just specifies the date and location where the learner, their marking is going to be sampled there. So just to reiterate, it is the assessor's marking which is going to be reviewed by you. We're expecting to see 2 sample plans, one for each of your trainer or assessor. Now, criteria 7, this looks at you as an IQA proofreading any assessment documentation. Okay, a good hallmark again of an IQA is to review any assessing documents. Okay, before you hand this to your trainer or assessor, you need to proofread it to make sure all the questions are suitable and correct, and they can begin their assessing or training role. For criteria 7, what we're looking to see is a completed IQA form of assessment material. You are selecting one assessment. It could be a handbook, it could be a written test, a mock test, and you are simply just checking that it all meets the correct criteria and standards. You could be reviewing the language used, it could be looking at the correct answers as well, and we're expecting to see a minimum of 1 brief such as this for you to check all of the criteria, that everything makes sense. And we would also like for yourself and your assessor to actually sign and date this document. In terms of this example, we have the online Level 3 Award in Education and Training assessment pack for Unit A. So for example, I as an IQA would proofread that and complete one of these forms to ensure it's all okay for our trainers to use. Now, criteria 8 of our portfolio is actually taking the work from our sample plan. Now, we need to review the actual learner work for this criteria. In essence, you need to review the assessor's marking of 2 learners. So each of your 2 assessors need to be looking at 2 different learners each, okay? You need to be looking at their marking, their written feedback to the learners to make sure that it's all suitable and fit for purpose. Within subfolder 8, we're looking for you to complete 2 of these IQA forms, okay, and you are going to be reviewing the written feedback from each assessor to the learners. We would also like to see actual evidence of learner work here, which has been marked by the assessor or trainer. We would like for you to scan in each of the learner work so we can see what has been sampled for this subfolder. Now, criteria number 9 is moving away from the actual marking of assignments, and it's to do with your observation, okay? So this marries up with your observation plan, and you are going to be observing each of your assessors or trainers. You need to observe your first assessor independently, okay? So you need to complete an observation form, and you need to provide your first assessor with feedback, okay? So you need to complete a form, you need to provide them with feedback, and you also need to get your assessor to sign the initial document. At the tail end of Unit 2, the equivalent of Day 3, a member from TrainAid will come out and observe you, observing your second assessor, okay? And then we can provide you with feedback on how your IQA role was performed. Some of the things that we are going to be looking at is how you brief your assessor or trainer prior to the assessment observation. We're going to be looking and monitoring you throughout the observation, so perhaps looking at where you perhaps stand, look at how you monitor your assessor during the observation, and finally we're going to be observing you on how you deliver feedback as well. But just to reiterate, you observe your first assessor independently and your second assessor, otherwise known as Day 3, with a TrainAid team member. Now, our next criteria, criteria 10, is the professional discussion. This is simply a one-on-one review with each assessor independently, and you're just going to see how they are doing in their training or assessing role. Some of the questions you could ask them is, how do you plan assessments? You could perhaps provide them with information on their current practice, any questions that the assessor or trainer might have, okay? You can use any of these questions provided. The professional discussion needs to be no longer than 1 page. You'd also need to sign and date the professional discussion so we can see when it took place. But just remember, 1 professional discussion for each of your assessor or trainer. Criteria number 11 is minutes of the meeting. So we're reflecting on our meeting plan, and now we are going to be showing evidence that we can record the minutes of the meeting as an IQA. So here we have an agenda and also notes as well. We also have the staff members who are present, okay, the ones who are perhaps absent, and this is the general minutes of the meeting. If you're new to meetings, it's a very good idea for you to perhaps practice chairing a meeting, for example, okay? Within your IQA portfolio, we're looking to see 1 or 2 examples of minutes of a general meeting. With that being said, criteria 12 looks at the standardization meeting. So this is going to be a level above the general meetings, and it's going to be focusing on how you conduct any type of standardization activity. So it could be interpreting new policies and procedures. It could be focusing on how your team of assessors mark criteria or work as well. We are looking to see a minimum of 1 standardization activity or minutes. You could also submit to us anything that was discussed within the meeting, such as any new policies or procedures as well. The next criteria is policies, okay? Within this subfolder, we are looking to see a minimum of 3 different policies. As an IQA, it's very important that you understand and promote these different policies, such as health and safety, the Equality Act. It could be anything to do with safety as well. But we're looking to see about what policies that you promote within your IQA role. The final element of the IQA course is the self-evaluation. This is typically one page and it's just getting you to reflect on your current IQA practice. Behind me we have an example of a SWOT analysis. You could write down your strengths as an IQA, your weaknesses or areas for development rather. You could also put in your opportunities for you to develop your IQA role and also threats as well. So any potential barriers to your IQA role, and you could think about how to overcome these as well. The self-evaluation just needs to be one page long, and do feel free to use these questions and format provided. Thank you very much for your time today, and hopefully you found this video useful. Just to reiterate, the train aid visit will happen when you are ready, but we just need to make sure that prior to the visit that you have observed your first trainer or assessor independently. If you do have any questions, please contact the train aid team. This is our email, and give us a call if you would like to discuss any of the questions within the video. We look forward to seeing you on one of our IQA courses. Many thanks.